If somebody knew about a predatory paedophile and didn't report them to the police, what do you think should happen to them? The Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Welby, knew about a sadistic child abuser linked to the Church of England who had committed unspeakable crimes against boys and young men. A report says Welby knew about allegations in 2013. The report says this could and should have been reported to police. The report says the man involved may have even faced justice. The report also says that the Church of England's lack of response, quote, amounted to a cover-up. Welby has to go. He has to resign in disgrace. I mean, the monster, John Smyth, abused around 130 boys and young men over decades. He used a Christian youth camp to do it. Now, a report in The Guardian says that Welby was actually at one of these camps with John Smyth, but there is no indication that Welby partook in or personally saw any abuse taking place. But Welby has now admitted that he was warned that there were issues with Smyth in 1981. Some of Smyth's victims have tried to kill themselves. One of those survivors today says that Welby put his own reputation above helping survivors and that he should resign. The Bishop of Newcastle today says that Welby should resign. Local reverends like Fergus Butler-Galley in Charlbury are calling for him to go. He says, "We will continue to pray for you, but I, for one, will be praying that you will resign. The damage you have done to this church will take a very long time to repair." Now, the Prime Minister isn't backing him, saying that Welby's sacking is a matter for the church. Welby himself says he's considered resigning but decided against it. Well, I want to look you in the eyes now, Welby, if possible, and just say one thing very clearly to you. For the love of God, go. I mean, I've got a theory about Welby. He's gone full woke, hasn't he? He's committed to spending 100 million quid's worth of the church's money on slavery reparations. He said it was necessary because the church had done actions that denied the reality of God's universal power and love. What about the actions of that predatory paedophile that you reportedly knew about in 2013? And the church is set to announce that God is not a white man in a push for racial justice. Well, it's one kind of justice that Welby can get behind, is it? He's presided over failed asylum seekers converting to Christianity in a bid to stay in the country. People like the man who blew himself up outside Liverpool Women's Hospital, Emad El-Swalmeen. He took a 5-week course to convert from Islam to Christianity in 2017. Welby was anti-Rwanda. In fact, he brought up Hitler when talking about it.
Rise in international human rights law grew out of the horrors of the 1940s, where a government that in 1933 in Germany had been legally and properly elected passed horrific laws that did terrible things.
It's not the only time he's invoked Hitler. He had to apologise after comparing the threat of climate change to that posed by the Nazis. My theory is that Welby went full woke to curry favour with the lovey liberal elite because he knew this devastating dossier about him, not reporting serious child abuse to the police, was going to land at some point, and he wanted to get as many brownie points in the bank as possible. Just to come back to how I started here, can you imagine being made aware of serious child sexual abuse allegations and not reporting that to the police? If that was you, what would you have done? Justin Welby has let the church down, he's let victims down, he's let the country down, and if he had any shame, he'd go. The man has to go. Let's get the thoughts of my panel this evening. We're joined by Daily Express columnist Carol Malone. We've got former Labour Party advisor Scarlett Maguire and the ex-chairman of the Tory party, Sir Jake Berry. Carrie, Welby's got to go now.
Oh, there's no question. Of course he has to go. He's got to be... And if he doesn't go, he's got to be sacked. The one person who can get rid of him is the king. Of course, him and Welby are very good friends. That might be difficult. But, you know, and he mustn't be allowed to go quietly. You know, people do terrible things and they're allowed just to slope off into the distance. That must not happen either. There must be a big noise about getting rid of him. You know, John Smyth was the most prolific child abuser that's ever been associated associated with the Church of England. You mentioned before a figure of 130 boys. You know, some of those boys, Patrick, were tortured in the most horrific way by him. You know, there was a group of 8 of them. Between 8 of them, they had 14,000 whip strokes from this guy over a period of years. Now, that's just 8 of them. Imagine what the other ones had to go through. And, you know, for Welby to say he didn't know about it till 2013, I'm not buying that, because, you know, this was being talked about, as you mentioned the day before, as early as 1981. Reports were being written about Smyth back in 1981, and they were circulating in the hierarchy of the church. He was in that hierarchy. You know, this 40-year cover-up, he's been in the thick of it, and he didn't do anything, and he should be kicked out of the church right now.
So, Jake, I mean, this is absolutely astonishing, isn't it? Can you imagine, seriously, about hearing about serious child sexual exploitation and then not going to the police? What does that say about the kind of guy that's running the Church of England?
Well, it's unimaginable, isn't it? I mean, anyone who's a parent, I don't think you actually have to be a parent to want to say that if you found out about this, this would be, you know, something you would report to the police immediately, and you'd want to see this in Mr. Smyth, this individual who's this prolific sex offender, you know, punished. And I think there's 2 things I hope the Archbishop will keep in his mind this evening as he weighs. He says he's thought about it. He's decided that he should stay on. I mean, he absolutely shouldn't. There's no way. His position is untenable. I'd be amazed if he's in place at the weekend. But the 2 things that I hope, will consider, for the millions of Christians in this country for whom he is a leader, this is, you know, heartbreaking. It's the most appalling example. It's not the church that people go to, and I include myself in that number. And then the second thing is the untold damage he is doing to the institution of the Church of England, our established church here in the United Kingdom, by holding on. No one can understand why. Why is he holding on? Why is he more important than the church he seeks to represent?
What I will say...
It's appalling.
What I will say is this. There are rumours online, quite strong rumours, that he's cleared his diary for tomorrow, and that would indicate, if true, that there is going to be some announcement. I think the damage has possibly already been done by not just going immediately. But, Scott, I'd like to get your views on whether or not you think that he's gone full woke because he knew that something like this was coming down the track and he wants to curry favour with the lovey, lefty media elite and everyone else.
I think that's absolute rubbish. Absolute rubbish. And look at it. Who has stuck up for him, right? Nobody. I mean, that's what's so interesting, right, is you have yet to find a person who said he should not resign.
It's because his position is indefensible.
I know, but that's what I'm saying is of course, you know...
Do you think that might be why he did it? Because I get that we are where we are, which is at the moment no one, apart from quite possibly his PA or someone, is coming out and saying, go on, Welby, we need you. But to me, it just sort of, you know, right, I'm going to come out against Rwanda, I'm going to do all these slavery reparations. Look at me, I'm a very good, virtuous guy.
No, look, you can think... We're all very complex people. So, on the one hand, what he did is it's not just indefensible, it's incomprehensible that you get this in 2013. And you're right about the rumours. I mean, all of us who sort of work in journalism, we hear rumours all the time, right? If you're in the Church of England and it's going round, I mean, we're talking about at least 130 boys. It's been there. So... And Makin, who did the report, right, said that it's unlikely that Justin Welby didn't know about it. But if we give him the benefit of the doubt, which I don't actually, but anyway,
not
2013... For them to take this and let this man go to South Africa and Zimbabwe.
Where he abused again.
Where he abused again. And, you know, he said when he says he found out in 2013, he said in 2017 he would meet all of the victims, talk to them, counsel them. He didn't meet those victims until 2020. So 7 years from when he reportedly heard about it till 2020. He didn't get... So he cared more about himself and his reputation than he did about those boys. And, you know, what I find very heartening today, vicars who are who are naturally very cautious people, they're all taking to social media today saying Welby resign. That's incredible.
So
That's
I'd go further. I think to have known about this in 2013 and not to report it. I think that is evil.
I agree.
I think it's an evil act by the leader of the
You're
church.
a lawyer.
Yeah, no, it's not. It may also be criminal.
Right,
it's evil.
It's evil because if you knew about it and you let him go on, these people, these paedophiles, they don't stop, right? They just go. So he let this guy go to South Africa.
Well, most paedophiles are protected by other people in their ring, aren't they? That's how they. That's how they carry on for all of these years. And if the Archbishop of Canterbury knew about it in 2013, not to report it, I think is appalling.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Appalling. Well, I will just say that there is at this stage there is no indication that Archbishop Welby has done anything technically criminal. But it's a question to be asked as to whether or not whether or not a resignation is enough in a circumstance like this. And again, I do put it to you, and I don't like asking these questions to viewers and listeners because it's a bit grim, isn't it? But just try to put yourself in that situation where one day someone presents you with a dossier of information about a prolific paedophile. And you just just go, just pop that over there.
Ask yourself why you do that.
But this is also, this is a man of God as well. This is, he's supposed to be above most of the rest of us. This is a man of God who was actually shown to be evil in the midst of all this because his inaction led young boys to be abused in the most horrific way. And he needs to pay for that.
And this goes on and on. In religion, right? I mean, this is the Church of England.
Yeah.
We've had Catholics.
Every
there are other religions where it's
helps.
happened, and the religion protects itself. And what we have to remember is that these people who got abused, they never get over it. I mean, you listen to the people telling this. They can tell their stories 40 years on.
Is this the kind of thing when we look back at serious iconic moments like the Queen's funeral, like to a lesser extent Harry and Meghan's wedding, of course? And no doubt other events as well, the coronation, clearly. It's Welby, isn't it?
Yeah.
Good grief. Do we look back on that now? I mean, those BBC archives are going to be a bit rogue. I mean, you can't use Hugh Edwards for any of that. I mean, can we use Welby now?
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, to see what stance the King takes on this, because him and Welby are very good friends. And I would imagine he would have counselled Welby and said, you have to go. He should. If he hasn't, he should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. OK, I mean, yeah. Also, again, I will stress, not that I think it needed clarification, but I will say anyway, I'm not trying to say that Archbishop Welby is a paedophile. I'm just saying, in light of the report, he maybe should have reported the other person's paedophilia, as the report itself says, sooner. So there we go. But do you think his reputation is irreversibly damaged, Jake?
He's done. He's done. People will be... Look, as a practicing member of the Church of England, I'm so angry about this. You don't have to... And even whether you're a Church of England member of any faith or no faith... People are just so angry about this. It's a disgrace. The man is a disgrace. And the fact that he is trying to cling on to office is re-victimising these hundreds of young men. It's turning them into victims all over again. Have a heart, man. Just go.
There is an arrogance and an ego to this guy. You get the impression he really loves being the Archbishop of Canterbury. He really thinks he's a very special, important man, always preaching about politics, always getting involved where he shouldn't, not bothering much about his church. And this is...
Well, the flock is diminishing.
Completely.
The numbers going to the Church of England are plummeting.
Don't care about
that. They'll be down this Sunday.
Yeah. But actually, the most important are the victims, and they've said go.
Right.
They have said go, and they are the most important people.
They are. Right, on that note, I think without further delay, it's probably time that we actually heard from the Archbishop on all of this, isn't it? So, in response to the allegations, the Archbishop of Canterbury has said in a statement, I recognise the courage of the victims, including those related to John Smyth, who have come forward and relived their trauma to contributing to this review. I had no idea or suspicion of this abuse before 2013. Nevertheless, the review is clear that I personally failed to ensure that after disclosure in 2013, the awful tragedy was energetically investigated. Since that time, the way in which the Church of England engages with victims and survivors has changed beyond recognition. So there we go, very clearly there from the Archbishop of Canterbury, who at the moment is not resigning. I will just say there are rumblings that he's cleared his diary for tomorrow, and we await for more detail on that. Thank you very much for an interesting start to the show. I've got a lot more coming your way, including there was these... Youth Demand are an offspring of the pro-Palestine movement who decided to interrupt Armistice Day today. So I'm going to show you a couple of clips of those. But before that,